Was it comforting, the people that you saw?
Oh, very much. Yeah, I was kind of, yeah.
My husband, before he died, he'd already had several heart surgeries. And at one time, he was pronounced dead for like 20 minutes. And he came back. And he said the only reason he came back was because he could hear me praying that God wouldn't take him right now. But he said he wanted to go into the light. He said it was so bright, and it was warm like the sun, and he didn't want to come back. But he kept hearing me pray that he wouldn't go. And ever since that, he was never afraid of death after that.
You've got an answer to the question we'll have later. Anyone else?
Well, the only thing I want to ask is, my own thoughts were, you read where cynics say, well, they were hallucinating, or it was the medication, or, I mean, I don't like that, but that's what you read. How do you counteract if someone would come up with that type of explanation?
Okay, I'm going to hold on to the podium, because when I tell about this, why, it is so powerful that sometimes I can start to shake. I had an experience, and it wasn't that, but I had experience with the hand of Jesus touching me and standing at the bottom of my bed in a white, shining, dazzling robe. And my question is, I have prayed a lot about a lot of things, and about people wanting to be healed, or about situations, and I have been in very earnest prayer. But when I was doing my ministry, we had 3 men in our congregation. One was an internist, a doctor. And it probably doesn't really matter who they were, but they were rather 3 young men in our congregation who all of a sudden all had a very serious cancer. And whether at that point there was something in my life that was, you know, rather pressing, or I guess I don't remember, but I went to bed praying that night after I had visited a couple of them. The doctor's was a lymphoma, and he took a chemo in Mayo that either would have cured him or killed him. And I think it was that night that I was probably praying so hard to God, and I was having my prayers, and I was in bed, and I was asking, why, 3, and I was praying for them. And I felt this touch on my foot, and I saw it and said, they're going to be all right. Now, why was it that? Why was it that it was my ministry, that Jesus was speaking to me? And the 3 were. They were okay. The first one died just probably 4 or 5 years ago. And this was back in 1990, probably. So they lived quite a few years. The doctor came through his, and he has been fine. And so has the other one was the head pharmacist at the hospital. But there is that bright white, dazzling white, shining light. Maybe when I said I would teach this day, I did not even know that I was teaching on the Transfiguration. So but that is my story, and I haven't told this to very many people.
I haven't experienced the dazzling white. I think I shared sometime. I came in as a teenager, 16, 17, came in from a date into a dark room, the living room, and Jesus was there. So there had to have been light for me to see this person standing there. Nobody was clear near death that I was aware of. You know, there wasn't any of that. It was just an appearance. It's just a presence that I'm sure it was Jesus. No proof. The place has not been reportedly full of ghosts previously, so it was just Jesus that didn't demand anything. It was just his presence. I can understand the awe. I wasn't frightened, so I didn't feel that these men, but Jesus can appear in an ordinary experience. So it doesn't always have to be a near-death or intense experience.
And I was going to tell Pat, and I was not on any drugs. But what I'm saying,
That kind of answers that question.
yeah, that I was,
cynics,
and yet to this day, I think, I have asked for.
If I could share about the natural scientific explanations, I think we're raising a dichotomy that's not necessarily there. Yeah, things can be natural, and mental processes and cells and everything can be involved. But behind that, pushing it, is the spiritual element. Now, I've been around quite a few people who've had experiences like that, and you could write things down, well, this is caused by that, which led to this and that and the other, which would be totally right, but which God has given the impetus to that. And I've already told you experience on Easter Sunday morning. It happened to me right here in this church with the window, with the angel of the open tomb. That window glowed extra bright and telling me to have peace. Go on with your life. Right here in this church.
He wrote a poem about it. In fact, Larry put it on the back side of one of his bulletins, and he wrote this. Yeah. I think you need a bright light.
And to me, it is a meaning of that you are indeed in touch with this divine presence, and that is what they are wanting to tell the disciples about Jesus in this dazzling white garment.